going on, Marshall? Hold on. Thank you. This StreamYard is so much easier than Zoom. I think the picture's better too. Hey, TT. Exactly. Tell him, girl. Tell him.
Hello. Gabriel, nice to meet you.
You know, good visuals get more views. Can you guys hear me okay? Because it's really noisy with the street. I put my AirPods in. Okay, good. I hear you good too. Perfect. That's me, yeah. Are you waiting for me to?
Yeah. If I can move it, if you don't mind us moving it over.
No, that's fine. Okay.
Oh, watch out, we're paused. Yep, here you go. Watch out, Mike. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Good. So this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Much better. TC, don't move. That's perfect. Okay. All right, well, first of all, Tiki, let me tell you where I'm at. Right across the street here, you guys can see, is 500 Pearl Street. It's the federal court. Inside that court on the 26th floor courtroom, this is where everything is unfolding in this federal sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. His demeanor, you know, earlier, before this week, he would be very kind of as social as you can be when you're a detainee and you're under federal arrest there. In the courtroom, he would shake hands with the defense. He would look at people that he knew in the crowd, in the audience. He would make, give people a heart sign. He would do things like that, make eye contact with them. His demeanor now is extremely serious, as it should be, because he looks at this thing, he's looking looking at the rest of his life, the possibility of the rest of his life behind bars. But today what it was Kathy was on the stand, and he's basically, the way the court is situated, she's on a witness stand like you see in different important TV shows and things. And then he's seated at the table with the defense team, and basically kind of looking they're almost in a direct line of sight with her. Now the media, the audience, and the family and other people that are there, spectators, we're behind the defense table, so we only see him really from the back. But at one point, we could see his head going a little bit like shaking his head just a little bit, like kind of like either this is terrible or it's not true, and we can't interpret what that gesture means. TT, let me just jump in here for a second. We should really let people know, because there was a lot of really very graphic and very disturbing things that came out in court and that are in the transcript. And we just, I don't want to say trigger warning, but we really need to let people know, especially women, that this could be very upsetting to them when they hear this. But his demeanor, we can't interpret what his demeanor was, but it had to be tough for him, because yesterday his three daughters are there in court, while the male sex worker was testifying about what Diddy was doing to himself while he was watching this male sex worker have sex with his girlfriend Cassie. The three girls, it got too much for them, and they ended up leaving the courtroom. They were there in court today with him, as were the boys. But it's got to be tough for everybody, but especially Cassie, because she's up there on the stand. She's got to be like 8 or 8.5 months pregnant. She's sitting up there. She's talking about how she met him when she was 19. Stars in her eyes, thinking she's going to have this amazing recording career and be a huge successful artist. And then instead, 2 years later, it turns into this personal relationship, and then very quickly, all of her work on her music ends up being replaced by everything in setting up these freak-offs, participating in these freak-offs. Right, exactly. On the street, I'm outside, literally. Well, he's not allowed. He was given special permission by the judge before the testimony and everything, before jury selection started last week, that he could have 5 outfits for court, basically crew neck sweater, collared shirt, like what they call business casual, and some trousers. And of course, because he's a federal inmate, he can't have a belt, so there's no belt for the pants. We saw them kind of sliding down. He's lost a lot of weight since this whole thing started, and he was arrested last September. And then he also cannot have any shoes or sneakers with laces, so we can't really see what's on his feet in the courtroom, but he was allowed to have shoes. So the judge said you can have 5 pairs of this. So we've seen navy blue last week, we saw black, we saw gray, we saw tan, we're seeing lighter color. He has 5 sets of clothes that he can wear for the 5 days of court every week. No jewelry, there's no diamond studs, there's absolutely nothing of that, because he's an inmate at the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, and is not allowed to wear them. But they allowed him to have regular clothes for the court appearance. And the judge reminding people, he reminded the jury multiple times. He reminded the courtroom. He said, despite everything that everybody's hearing, Mr. Combs is innocent in this court until he is proven guilty by the jury. Period. End of story. And I think that's something, TT, we need to really keep in mind, because especially a lot of people have already convicted him, and but he's entitled to a trial just like everybody else, and we're going to see what kind of evidence there is, to support these charges.
Behind you. Clothes they will wear.
But right, but the case, and this is, and what you're pointing out is exactly what the defense is saying. They're saying you may not like his kinky lifestyle, you may not like his sexual proclivities, his sexual practices, you may not like the kind of person he is, and all of this, but he's not guilty of trafficking. However, we're already starting to see how the prosecution is crafting this. Trafficking, according to the legal experts that I've talked to as we've been covering this case for Hot 97, on Street Soldiers, every day for Fox 5. So please follow me, Lisa Evers on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, because I'm out here every day. We're doing reports on this. And the fact of the matter is, to have a RICO case and racketeering, you have to show force and coercion. We think of sex trafficking as like young women in the back of a van being smuggled across a border somewhere. But the fact is, if someone is forced into it, and they carefully crafted that today, while a lot of people are focusing on these sensational and really disturbing details of these freak-offs, Cassie, the prosecutor, is having Cassie testify about these things, about the force that was used against her. She said she lived in constant fear of Diddy because of these beatings that she sustained. He would drag her by her hair, as we saw in that horrific video in the LA hotel hallway, which, by the way, has been shown in court yesterday and today. She was subjected to physical beatings where he would hit her in the head. She was kicked in the stomach. She was stomped on her head. All of these types of things that she's describing in a very matter-of-fact tone, just explaining to people she was in constant fear. And then the other thing too, TT, that came out today, she's talking. Okay. Yeah, they're folding it. No, it's okay. Keep going. They're almost done. They just have to get it out of here because the guys are on the clock. We'll be done. They'll be done in a second. But TT, anyway. So she's describing this, and then also the thing that kept resonating with me is here's this woman. She's, I think, 38 now. She's her pretty much those years. Like the years in your 20s or the years in the early 30s. It's like these are like the most exciting times for a lot of women in terms of whatever their dream is and pursuing their dream, and where they either make headway towards it or they get sidelined on it, or they get off track. But anyway, for her, it was this thing of it was so incredibly sad to hear her talk about this. Is that she had these hopes.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. It's almost like I've done this a time or two, right? Like it's not my first rodeo. Like it's almost like this is like what we do really well on my team.
Basically booking them.
I learned about bioidentical hormones from watching your live. I'm so happy that I did. I'm glad that you guys are picking up on this stuff, because truly the awareness for you guys with your medical, if you're not working with my team, that a provider who truly can help you to optimize hormones, and they eat, sleep, and breathe this shit as well. And you being able to advocate for yourself is crucial here.
Mushrooms with cocaine.
If you guys are finding any value at all so far to this live whatsoever, and you have not smashed the follow button for your girl, as I'm waving my knife in your face, please please do so. But you guys, seriously, all that I can ask from the insane amount of value that I provide here is liking and sharing this live out. Like, that is all that I ask. If you guys can just sit here and do this for me and share this live with your friends, with your audience, like, again, that's all that I can ask here. Okay, let me get back up to the top. You guys, these comments move on me. Oh, Jules Ann is in the live. So Jules is my lead coach, you guys, as well. So she's in here, she's watching. How do I move from tracking to intuitive eating and maintaining success? I love this question as well. So this is going to come once we move to intuitive eating, once we've mastered a few things, our relationship with food, and once we've gotten to a place where we have achieved body composition goals for the most part, right? That's when we can transition to a space of intuitive eating. But that requires a few things from you. That, again, requires you being in a place where you're truly in the driver's seat. It's no more of these, like, I go out to eat and I feel guilty because I ate carbs, so I starve myself all day leading up to the night out with my husband, and then, you know, I feel so guilty because I ate the carbs, and then I ate the dessert as well, and then the next day I'm trying to burn off those extra calories, so I punish myself with excessive amounts of cardio, and then I cut my calories in half the next day because I overindulged the day before. Intuitive eating will not work. You'll just keep yourself in this vicious, like, merry-go-round where food is calling the shots. You truly have to be in the driver's seat when it comes to your relationship with food, also your relationship with the scale. You have to understand what goes on with the scale and why fluctuations happen. You have to understand how to look at averages, not so much the day-to-day fluctuations, right? Did I just get carrot in my hair? I did. That's pretty cool. And so there are things that need to happen. It's like body composition needs to be pretty damn close. And again, this is for those that are in a space of maintenance and they have mastered that skill set. And so how we transition on my team is we take it slow because it can feel scary. I'll be honest, right? But it's one of those fears, a mile wide, it's an inch deep. And you know, sometimes it's like you step your foot in the water, you think that you're gonna sink, and it's just like, oh, there's solid ground right there. And so that's us building that foundation and that solid ground. But we start slowly. And so we'll take it from, okay, we're gonna go from tracking every tiny little thing that goes into our mouth, and I'm gonna give you a night out where I want you to, like, intuitively eat, right? And so a night out and intuitive eating doesn't mean I eat like an asshole. It doesn't mean that I go balls to the wall. I'm still eating in accordance to my goals and what makes me feel the best. I'm just not tracking and logging every single thing that goes into my mouth. And so we might start with a night, and then we transition that into a full day, and then we start to make sure that we can see that factor, like we can start to trust ourselves. And so people, they love to say, I hear coaches all the time, trust the process, and I'm like, fuck, trust the process. We need to get you to a place where you trust yourself. It's not the lack of the trust in the process, it's the lack of the trust within yourself. And so when you start to see, and start intuitively eating, we start slowly transitioning you here, and the scale is staying weight stable, right? You might have some fluctuations of a pound or two, that's freaking normal, but on average, you're staying even kilter. That's what we're looking for. And then what I'll do is I will move from, like I said, a night, and then we'll go into a day over the weekend, and then we'll go into a couple days, and we'll just slowly start to do that. But again, that doesn't mean I eat whatever I want when I want. You would still eat the same foods as if you were tracking. Again, you just have developed the skill set. You're able to eyeball. You're able to go out and you're like, okay, that's about 6 ounces of chicken. That's about 200 grams of rice, cooked rice, right? That's about 60 grams of avocado or guacamole. That's about, 40 grams of shredded cheese. I'm building out a Chipotle label if you don't get where I'm going at here. But again, is it 100% accurate? No. But we don't have to be 100% accurate to be able to get to a place where we can sustain and maintain. Now, there's a place, if you want to go to dial in your body composition, yeah, that's going to require you to track. That is going to require probably some sort of meal structure and guides and all of that, abso-freaking-lutely. But if we've achieved goals and you're just looking to sustain and maintain and live your best life, that is the place you want to be able to get yourself. And so, for me, I haven't tracked for I don't know how long, but ultimately I'll encourage clients that, they'll get to a place where they're doing multiple days a week, and then we'll get to a place of full intuitive eating, and then every once a week I'll have them track a day for me just to make sure that their eyeballs are where they think they're at, right? And so I can get within, I'll look at chicken, I'll be like, that's about 6 ounces, and I'm usually within it's 6.3, right? You get really freaking close. Again, not spot on, but really freaking close. And so this is something though that comes with, once you've developed this skill set, you put in the reps, you put in the time, and it comes with trusting yourself. But it will never work out well if food is still calling the shots. It's never going to work out well well, if you still have guilt going out to have date night with your husband, and then you're skipping your carbs the next day, and you're doing excess cardio, you're just going to keep yourself in a position where you think you're mastering this, but ultimately that's when weight starts to slide back in, and you start slowly putting the pounds back on because you're like, and you're not, the awareness just is not there, because again, food is calling the shots, and you're not completely and totally in the driver's seat.
With a couple of his bodyguards, and
Who do we talk to about bioidentical hormones? So this is something that we utilize and we do on my team. So with coaching, you can coach with my hormone team as well. So you can do one-on-one coaching with my team without hormones, but you can't just do hormones without one-on-one coaching, if that makes sense, just because hormones will never get you ultimately to that end goal, and we are like, we'll give you your life back coaches, right? And so the composition and the pictures and the before and afters and the insane results aren't going to just come from hormones. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. You could achieve results like that without hormones, but you're never going to get them by just hormones. So we don't just offer hormones. Now, if you're not working with my team, I would make sure that you find a hormone clinic, somebody who specializes in this. I would do your research. I would interview your provider. Like, how do you view hormone replacement therapy? Are you going to treat me off of symptoms? Do you have testimonials? Like, I want to see and I want to hear what you are going to support me with. And I would just, again, continue to advocate for yourself that way. Miss Heather is in the house. 1,200 suddenly became 3,000 calories. And this is something that we see day in and day out, just like Jules said. So Jules is my lead coach on my team, and this is something that is so very common, you guys. So I just want you to know that you're not alone. If you're somebody who, is tracking ish, and it's like, I think I'm eating about ish, I guarantee you your ish is much higher than what you ever want to give yourself credit for. And I get this often, and this is something I really want to drive this point home. Nicole, I don't eat a lot of food. There's no way I can be eating that many calories. A lot of food does not necessarily mean less calories, you guys. For you to go out and have your Starbucks Frappuccino and a blueberry muffin, and then you have a salad for lunch, and you drizzle it, like it has nuts on it, and an avocado and ranch, and then you get to dinner, and those may not be a lot of volume, but you're eating very calorically dense foods. You're eating foods that are extremely high in fat. You're not getting enough protein in. And you're like, but Nicole, I don't eat that much food. I don't understand why nothing works for me. It's like, oh, I do. I know for a fact why nothing is working, kind of thing, right? And so that's the difference. And so when you hear women say, this is one of the biggest things that you hear on my team. I'm eating more food than I've ever ate in my entire life, and I'm losing body fat. I'm losing weight. And let's talk about why that's the case. It's because they're eating more whole foods. We start to teach them how to eat more volume. So they're not necessarily eating more calories. They're absolutely not eating enough more calories. They're eating more food, but they're eating less calories, right? And that's the glow up. That's the bread and butter there, because when you're eating food that fuels you, you have more energy. Jules actually just got off a call with one of our clients today who's been with us, I don't know, Jules, if you're still on here, I don't know, it's been about 8 weeks. And she's like, I just have to tell you, this is working. Nothing has ever worked for me. I've never felt better. I'm sleeping through the night. I don't crave foods. And that's what happens when you start to fuel your body properly. And so we do what we have meal guides on our team. So we are going to give you everything that you need to know when it comes to the foundation of how to truly fuel your body. Because when it comes to menopause, you guys, fueling your body correctly, there is a problem. There is an amount of carbs versus fats that we should focus on. There's absolutely an amount of protein, right? There's certain foods that we should be eating more of and less of certain things. And so when we start to develop that foundation, then we slowly transition you to a place of intuitive eating, to a place, not intuitive eating, slowly transition you to a place of macros, right? So you start to understand that, okay, I don't have to eat exactly what's on this guide, but I understand how to swap foods out. And that's the real goal, because we want to educate you. We want to give you that foundation, because that leads to long-term sustainable results. Thank you, Miss Heather. I appreciate you. What are better ways to track progress than just weighing myself? I love this question. You guys are coming in with some fire questions today. So when it comes to progress, I know every single one of you want to attach every ounce of progress to a piece of metal that you stand on that tells you your relationship with food. Every single freaking one of you. Every single one of you. And the scale controls if you're allowed to have a good day versus a bad day. The scale controls if what you're doing is working or not. The scale controls your self-worth, right? There's so many things that go into that piece of metal. There's so much power that you give it. Now, I understand that this concept is simple. Oh my gosh, you guys are getting food everywhere. That's fabulous. This concept is simple to talk about. It's not necessarily easy to execute. But you need to get to a place where you can look at metrics outside of the scale. Because while yes, the scale is a piece of the puzzle, it's not the full damn muscle. And so when we start talking about body recomposition, and I can tell you right now, the leaner you become, the less the scale even kind of plays a role. When we start speaking to how your like biofeedback markers, you know, feeling better in your skin, more energy, better digestion, you know, hormone support, like the scale is the smallest piece of the puzzle here. Like I would much rather like, and I know for a lot of our coaches, like we don't even base off of scale, we base off of what your body is doing, what it's looking like, what it's telling us, how it's responding. And that's how the majority of you should be making strategic adjustments to your plan. Oh, thank you, Kimberly girlfriend, I appreciate you, right? But most of you can't do that. You cannot get out of your head and out of your ego long enough, and it's like, heaven forbid the scale goes up too fast. Oh my God, I can't do this. I'm getting so fat, I'm getting so fluffy. And that is the only metric of success.